There was a report that a HAZMAT team had been called to the Republican National Headquarters in Washington, D.C. They've obviously blocked off the block and they blocked off the building, but what's inside we do not know. So we're working to try and confirm that for you. Don't know what the substance was.
What's up, guys? Boy, Benny. Let's say you go to a party and in one corner you see a guy with a MAGA hat on and an American flag t-shirt, and in the other corner you see somebody with a Palestinian headscarf and a BLM shirt on and a Molotov cocktail. And you're like, well, I mean, I guess it's a cocktail party, so you can have a cocktail, but who are you going to hang out with? Who's the person you think is going to be the most rational that you could like have a laugh with, even if you don't agree with them? Who's the person who's like you could totally see like enjoying at the party? You're obviously going to go hang out with a guy with an American flag t-shirt. Obviously. Like the people who can make fun of themselves, people who can laugh, the people who's like the party of Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and memes and hilarity and people that are like grounded in something other than their psychotic lust for power because they're godless. And that's really what all this stuff is. The easier you frame it and put it in a box where it's like these people are trying to create their own religion and then they wish to be, they wish to wage a holy or unholy war against other competing religions. The woke, they're part of a church. They're part of a cult that requires total and complete fealty. And much like all young religions, they're willing to fight for it and do all sorts of horrible things for it. And that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to the breaking news out of this morning, where some psychopath, amazing how violence is universally and wholly committed to the left. It is leftists committing violence in perpetuity throughout the entire recent political memory, back to Occupy Wall Street, through to the BLM, to the congressional shootings, to present day occupations, leftists committing political violence. Now, you don't hear about it because it's inconvenient for the narrative, and the people in the media generally agree with these people and agree with their tactics. Here we are. The RNC was on lockdown this morning. Vials of blood sent to the RNC HAZMAT scene at Republican headquarters. Is this because of the bloodbath comment? Really? Is this because there's going to be a bloodbath in the auto industry comment from Donald Trump? Republican headquarters in Washington, D.C. reportedly locked down. HAZMAT team on scene. Several vials of blood were sent to the RNC headquarters. Of course, blood can be contaminated. Blood can be stuff that you don't want to mishandle blood. Let's just say that, right? Like there's a reason why blood banks and blood centers. You don't want to mishandle blood. Blood can be a scary thing. You don't want to open up a package and see blood everywhere. Got it? Right? Yeah. Okay. So Republican headquarters had vials of blood sent to it. NBC correspondent Dash Burns reports that vials of blood were sent to the building, and the building was locked down until further notice. U.S. Capitol Police told the offices in Congress that they are investigating suspicious substance at the address that could have been the blood. A notice issued by the police said staff and personnel are directed to avoid the area until further notice. This is what the RNC headquarters looked like this morning. It has police presence. You can see here the side of the building. That's the RNC right there. I lived in D.C. for a very, very long time. Here's the front of the RNC building. Police outside of it, sort of garrisoning the building. So that's crazy. This was the report that sort of shook us as we were preparing our show this morning.
Enforcement officers at the RNC headquarters in Washington, D.C. Apparently, D.C. Fire and EMS confirmed they have units on the scene. We have a Fox crew headed to the scene to figure out what's going on. We will bring you updates on Fox News.
So breaking across X, you can see here scenes outside of the RNC headquarters, blocked off and roped off. Vials of blood. This comes just after we learned that Biden authorized the use of deadly force at the Mar-a-Lago raid. We'll get to that in just a second. Vial of blood was sent to the RNC along with some other things, says Anna Paulina Luna. RNC headquarters locked down over suspicious substance. Staff are told to stay away until further notice. I'm on Capitol Hill at the RNC. A suspicious package is reported and the road is closed. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is sort of the scene from the ground there. What do we know? Fox News did send a reporter there. He's with the guy.
Here we go. We got word of this story, Dana, about 30 minutes ago. Weren't quite sure, but now we can confirm. The Republican National Headquarters in Washington, D.C. is on lockdown. Now, there was an early report suggesting that was some sort of white powder, perhaps, that had been found inside, but that's something that we are trying to confirm at the moment. But you see the police tape up and the law enforcement response, so something's happening inside.
Yeah, just to give you a little bit of context, so that's right next to the House office building. So I used to live right around the corner from that in a group house. And so you're not talking like some places not in the suburbs, not away. It's like it is across the street from the Cannon House office building, where a lot of the freshmen and junior members of the House have their offices. A lot of young Capitol Hill staffers live right around there. Usually a lot of activity, especially when Congress is in session. It's
9 o'clock in the morning, and when this was reported, it was about 8:30, so that's 40 minutes ago. You got to think that's the time everybody's showing up for work. And who discovered this and why, we do not know. Lucas Tomlinson's working the story. He's going to join us in a matter of moments.
So what's going on here? Well, it's you have to rewind the clock back, and this is something that has been memory hold completely. There was a man who was a psychotic left-wing Democrat, broken completely in the first month of Donald Trump's administration. The first couple months of Donald Trump's administration. First couple months, this guy goes and takes an automatic rifle and walks up to a baseball field where members of Congress were practicing baseball, asks if these are the Republican members of Congress, and then opens fire and tries to kill a number of them and nearly succeeds. The response to that by Republicans was so limp-dicked. Instead of seeing like the actual problem of a weaponized and violent movement against Republicans that target Republicans, they decided to hold hands and sing Kumbaya with Democrats, to literally take sides with the people that were radicalizing their base to commit violence. Paul Ryan and Nancy Pelosi held hands together in the wake of all this, instead of Republicans taking this opportunity and saying, wait a second, you are radicalizing your base. And the reason why this sticks in my craw is that I was a young reporter in Washington, D.C. at the time, and I went through this guy's Facebook. I was like I was the only guy that looked through this guy's Facebook, took screenshots before it was all ripped down, and, the drill, right? They'll take down all the social media if it's somebody on the left. They'll splatter it on the front page of the New York Times if somebody on the right. But this guy was on the left, and we wrote it up. I wrote it up for the publication I was working for at the time. I was like, this guy is a left-wing psychopath. And this is going to continue to happen unless Republicans begin to demand political concession and political pain, right, from this, and turn this into an issue. Republicans should have immediately demanded everybody apologize on the left, that every person, this guy was a Bernie Sanders supporter, volunteer for the Democrat Party. But nothing. Our gimp, limp-wristed uniparty decided this was a moment to sing Kumbaya instead of to actually take a moment to look at the broader overall problem here and to make a greater point about political radicalization on the left. And now, because of that, now you see BLM, you see the Palestine protesters, terrorists, and all types of savagery, politically targeted savagery that is, of course, unconstitutional and always and forever targeted against Republicans. Because our party is weak, because our leaders are weak. And now look at this. Merrick Garland approved the use of deadly force at Mar-a-Lago, made plans for casualties, brought medic, and handed out directions to local trauma center. They plan to kill Donald Trump. That's what they plan to do. This raid of Donald Trump's house, they literally plan to use deadly force. There it is. The goal was to kill. Law enforcement officers, Department of Justice, may use deadly force when necessary. FBI authorized to use deadly force in Mar-a-Lago raid. So their goal was to either kill Donald Trump or kill people who were working for Donald Trump.
Former President Trump's attorneys argue the Biden administration Justice Department authorized the use of deadly force if necessary during that raid of the former president's home in Mar-a-Lago down in Florida as they're searching for classified materials. Again, this is an exhibit that is just one of many documents released by the judge, Eileen Cannon, in recent days. Correspondent Kevin Cork has these breaking details as they're coming. Some 400 pages released just in the past few minutes. Good evening, Kevin.
Evening, Brett. I've been going over this. It is quite shocking what we have been able to glean based on what Judge Cannon has released. As you mentioned, the Biden administration authorizing the use of deadly force during the FBI's raid on former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in August of 2022 as part of its investigation into classified records. That, again, according to court documents. Now, an operations order, Brett, produced in discovery as part of special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into the former president's alleged improper retention of classified records, revealed that the FBI believed its objective for the Mar-a-Lago raid was to seize classified information, NDI, and government records as described in the search warrant. Here's where things get very interesting. The order, according to a court filing, contained a policy statement regarding the use of deadly force, which stated, for example, law enforcement officers of the DOJ may use deadly force when necessary. According to the filing, the DOJ and FBI agents plan to bring standard-issue weapons, ammo, handcuffs, and medium and large-sized bolt cutters. But they were also instructed, according to the filing, to wear unmarked polo or collared shirts and to keep law enforcement equipment concealed. Mr. Trump was charged out of Smith's investigation.
That's what they plan to do. It's a violent movement. It's a movement, you know, when you've lost the hearts and minds of people, when you've lost the moral high ground, the resort is then brute force. The resort then is violence. And that's how it always goes in human history. So when you've lost the middle ground to maintain or keep power, the next step is brutal violence. That's it. That's the way it always goes. Okay? And we're no different. There's no exclusion for America. So this is the way the left's gone. The left is completely lost. They've lost the American people. And the way they're going to resort is violence. How do you stop violence? You punish those who are violent. You punish the people who are encouraging that violence. And you keep your head up high, your head on a swivel, and you defend yourself. Ladies and gentlemen. That's the breaking news. Prayers out for people working at the RNC. We hope nobody is hurt. We'll keep you posted. It's your boy Ben. See you.